well, Cody wasn't interested in me. He wasn't showing me love. He wasn't showing me attention. So I found it in someone else. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Tamara here with the Mompreneur Plug. And today we're talking about divorce. I have my wonderful husband, Cody, here.
Hey, guys.
And we're going to just jump right into it. Is divorce an option? Babe, you want to divorce me?
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought you would after I did your makeup.
If you haven't seen that video, click here because my makeup was catastrophic.
I didn't do that.
No,
yeah.
I did this, my 15-minute slay. But anyway, let's jump right into it. We're talking about divorce. We're going to break this down into 3 categories. Transparency, communication, and what's the last one, babe? You forgot?
Yes, absolutely.
Forgiveness.
I don't know why you threw that to me.
Forgiveness, transparency, communication, because I did communicate with you what the 3 topics were, and forgiveness. Okay, so we're going to jump right into that. So guys, I think it's important before we even address the 3 topics to talk about whether divorce is an option. And I would say I believe divorce is an option when it's absolutely necessary. I do not believe divorce should be the first resort. I think it should be the ultimate last resort. And I think it should be a resort when it is absolutely necessary. When you see that you guys just cannot come to an understanding, I think that's best, especially for people's mental health. I know people that have stayed in marriages and yeah, we can get into that later. What about you, babe? What do you think?
I have the same thought. I think you should, where you can, try your best to keep your marriage alive. To her point, I think divorce should be the end all. Like, it should be the end. Like, there's nothing else we can do. We've tried everything. We've tried counseling. We've tried everything to make this work, and it just doesn't work. I think that's when divorce should be brought up. But of course, I don't think you go into marriage thinking about divorce. It's like going to, it's like accepting a job offer knowing you're going to quit. Like, I don't think you should do that.
Unfortunately, I have accepted job offers that I know I'm going to quit. Is that bad?
No.
Sometimes you just got to get that coin for a little second. Anyway, moving on. So let's talk about transparency. I think transparency is important. And not just in the marriage and with each other and with yourself, but moments like this, because you never know who you could be helping. And sometimes just being open and transparent helps you more than you realize. Right. So, we want to take this time to have a moment of transparency with you all about things that we've struggled with in our marriage. I know for me, and this is going to be quick because I don't want us to, not that I don't want to give you guys transparency, but I don't want to spend a certain amount of time on each thing because I really want you guys to get this. I really would say that year 3 for us was the worst year of our marriage. And we've been married for 7 years. Woo woo. For those of you who haven't seen already, check out our How We Met video because it kind of talks about our marriage and kind of leads us to our anniversary. So that'll be cool for you to catch. But anyway, year 3 was disgusting. It was terrible. I was ready to leave. I was considering leaving on many occasions. And I definitely made some terrible mistakes year 3. Some that I regret to this day. And I won't bring up too much because other people were involved. But I will say that Cody and I struggled tremendously that year to keep our marriage alive. And even going into year 4, it was still struggle. It really affected us. And I did cheat on Cody mentally with someone and emotionally with someone else. Someone else was taking my time and my mental space. And for a long time, I was in denial. I was like, I didn't cheat on him. I didn't sleep with anybody else. But somebody else had my heart. Somebody else had my emotions in that moment during that time. And for a while, I was self-righteous in saying, well, Cody wasn't interested in me. He wasn't showing me love. He wasn't showing me attention. So I found it in someone else. But at the end of the day, what I should have did was communicate properly to him that, hey, I'm not happy. And I thought that I had done it, but I didn't. I wasn't clear enough, obviously. And it was a struggle for us. What do you feel about year 3? Or what would you say was one of our toughest moments in marriage?
Well, I was just saying year 3, we were roommates.
Yeah, we were definitely roommates.
With a kid. Which made it worse. I mean, it was bad.
Twice that year too.
It was a lot, and I had done some things too that kind of pushed her in that direction. So it was almost like she was doing what she was doing, but then I felt like I deserved it. I was in a really bad headspace year 3, just personally. It makes sense, because year 3, I'm thinking about year 3 in the mode of transparency. That was also the year that I lost my job too. So, and it was at the beginning of our marriage
a lot.
3 year. Yeah,
it was a lot.
It was
you
a lot.
Lost your job.
Which for a guy, I don't know what that does for women, but for a guy, it's a huge deal when you're supposed to be the one that's providing for your house, and then that's just taken away from you. It's a huge deal. So that really messed me up mentally.
I would say year 3 and year 4 was the rough ones. It was just a lot going on. There was a lot of stuff that I was so unhappy with, and I thought I had expressed it enough, but I guess I didn't. And it led to me finding comfort in someone else. And honestly, the person that I found comfort in, I wouldn't even say it was comfort. It was just the need for attention, because that person wasn't helping me in any way. They were just showing me attention.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Where I wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Being honest. Of course, there were some adjustments made after. But, yeah, no. I think the issue is we were on 2 completely different mental spaces. My issues were that kind of pushed her there was my dishonesty about, things with money, which we all know is the #1 killer of marriages, is money. Which is really sad. We care too much about money. But it was my dishonesty about that, and then my own issues that came from, I guess, teenage years all the way up until marriage with pornography and things like that. So it wasn't fun at all, because those issues pushed her to a place where, like, I don't know if anybody watching this has dealt with, a spouse dealing with pornography and things like that, but just from things she's told me, it automatically makes you feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So that was a hurdle. Which, I mean, that even goes back to year 1. But still, that was a hurdle to get over. And, of course, if you feel like you're not good enough for your spouse and somebody else is showing you attention, it makes that easier, for that to happen. So it's just things that we had to, from then on anyway, had to deal with, rebuild trust, which that took what I felt like forever. And get to where we are now, which we're still not in a perfect place. But if I could compare now to year 3,
it's a whole lot better.
It's the difference between heaven and hell.
And I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to make excuses for my behavior, because yes, there were things that were done on Cody's part, I would say pushed me in a direction, but it did not make me do anything. I made a choice. And that's one thing I believe husbands and wives and spouses need to understand. It is not the other person's fault for you making a decision to cheat or to step out on your marriage or to disrespect your marriage in any type of way. That is a decision. That is a choice. And it may be hard not to make that decision. And maybe, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you could just easily ignore, things like that. But at the same time, it is still a conscious choice that you make. Nobody's putting a gun to your head saying, go do this or go do that. So.
But I personally think, too, though, that even though it's not the person's fault. Like, it's not my fault that she made that choice. You still have to acknowledge both sides if you want to move past it. You can't just say, well, you made the choice, no matter, because I'm a personal believer of that too. No matter what your spouse does to you, you still made the choice to cheat or whatever, so it still falls on you. I'm a firm believer of that too, but you have to acknowledge both sides if you want to be able to move past it. So,
yeah. That moves us into our next point, which is communication. Communication is extremely important. And once again, not between just spouse, but between yourself, you know, as individuals. And then also communicating with someone else who could guide you. So like a mentor, someone to hold you accountable. Like Cody might have, you know, a guy that has, you know, wisdom, has been married a little bit longer, that can pour into him, or, you know, our pastor. Or for me, I have one mentor that I go to that's older than me, that gives me advice when it comes to marriage. And so that communication is important as well. I would say personally, communication is an area that I thought we were really, really good at, which we are for the most part. But I have noticed during the pandemic, okay, it has gotten worse because we have a lot of unspoken expectations. And we've talked about this with my counselor, but, you know, just something as simple as I'm expecting Cody to, you know, help out more around the house, but I haven't said it. I'm just expecting it. And he's like, well, I didn't know you wanted me to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, well, you see it look crazy. Why can't you do, I mean, why I got to keep telling you, you know, and it was causing friction, and still does cause friction. I mean, we try to talk about it. We try to be open, you know, but Cody will have in his mind when he get off work, he gonna rest, you know, for an hour or so. And I'm like, can you get the boys? I got to run. I got to go do, you know, it's a lot. And I would say this pandemic has really put a strain on our communication, because we're in the house together all the time. And yes, I leave out to go to do my business, but then I come right back home. I'm not just out in the streets, out and about. I mean, where we gonna go? Ain't nowhere to go. So
I don't go nowhere. I sit right here.
Cody literally works his regular 9 to 5. Then after he gets off of his 9 to 5, he literally turns and gets onto his MacBook and does his business for Cody Paul Media, which, shameless plug, if you don't know, my husband Cody edits all of my videos, and he has his own editing media company, Cody Paul Media. So if you're looking for someone to edit your videos or do your website, you know, hit him up. I'll drop that link below. But anyway,
thank you.
You're welcome, babe.
I didn't ask for that, by the way.
You didn't have to ask. I'm gonna always support you in your endeavors.
Oh, that's sweet.
Okay.
But let me jump in real quick.
Tag.
Anyway, I just wanted to agree with her that communication has been a struggle in the pandemic. We've gotten better because, like she said, we talked to our counselor about it. But at the beginning,
bruh,
this is all it was.
I want to wring Cody's neck.
We do not condone violence.
No, we do not condone violence in marriage. Even though sometimes you got to get the occasional pew, pow.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling y'all, like, it was a whole struggle. But I will say, with transparency and communication, if you consider those things before divorce, I think it could help you. But then the last thing would be forgiveness.
That's a big one. This
is one that people struggle with. And if you haven't already, I already have a video out for forgiveness. I'll pop that up somewhere around here. You can click on that about forgiveness. And I kind of take you through the steps of forgiveness. But forgiving, sometimes we have to forgive ourselves before we can even forgive each other. Like, Cody had to forgive himself for the mistakes he made, that he felt that pushed me to make my mistakes, before he could even forgive me of my mistake. And vice versa. When the different, dishonesty and the pornography and all that was going on, it took me a while, because although I loved him and I wanted to see him do better, I was still hurting tremendously from that. But then once again, I had to go within myself and say, why does Cody feel like he has to be dishonest with me? Am I making it uncomfortable for him to be honest? When he is truthful, do I bash him over the head for whatever he's coming forth with? You know, whatever he's telling me. And so I have to check myself in those areas. And learning to forgive your spouse. Sometimes people don't want to forgive. Sometimes people don't want to forgive because they want to hold on to it and they want to, I'm still mad, you know, because they want you to be punished for your behavior.
Oh, full on honesty here. So Tam wins a lot of arguments in here. I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to name a winner or a loser, right? So there are times, every now and again. There
are times. When you need someone.
Yeah, but I didn't want anybody at this one in these moments. So there are times.
Carry the light, shine.
I'm done. There are times where I feel justified in being upset. So I'm not forgiving anybody for anything because these are the ones.
I never know you felt that way.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So, because it doesn't last long. But anyway, there are times where I feel completely justified in being upset because she did something that made me mad, and there's no argument, there's no point for it. It's just what it is. And literally, the Holy Spirit in that moment will be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "What do you mean? I'm upset." They'd be like, go fix it. Like, that's happened literally, like, more than once in our marriage. It's like, I'll literally be mad and have a reason to be mad. And the Holy Spirit be like, what are you doing? That's literally the question every time. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, I have a reason. No, you don't. Go fix it. So forgiveness is huge. You can't move past forgiveness. You can't communicate and be transparent with someone that you can't forgive. Even if it's yourself. You know, if you're unwilling to forgive yourself of your issues, you can't communicate with that person. You can't be transparent with that person. That person is a lie because you haven't forgiven that person.
That's good, man. You better preach. Y'all know my attention span. I heard everything you said. It's very hard for me to stay, like, you know.
I am a minister, so that's just how it.
You are.
It's just how it goes.
He is a minister. For those of you that did not know, he likes to talk. Preach the word of God. Of God.
Why do you have to say it like that?
But anyway. We didn't want to be before you long.
I'm done.
But we did want to take this time because, you know, we struggled and we could do a whole series on this, honestly, because we really we went through it. And nothing's perfect now, but I will say we have gotten to a much better place because I'm going to tell y'all, year 3, year 4, even year 5, I was like, how are we going to make it? I would literally look at Cody and be like, why? Like, why did I even do this? Why did I sign up for this? And now I look at him and I'm like, bruh, you ain't letting, I ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere, you know? So, but I do want to say, if you are struggling in your marriage, if you are considering divorce, I would ask you to consider these 3 things. Transparency, communication, and forgiveness. I would ask you to ask yourself, have I been transparent? Have I been communicative? Have I communicated my expectations? Have I communicated my feelings? Have I communicated with someone who could possibly help me? And then I will ask myself, am I willing to forgive? Do I need to forgive? Did I think I forgave, but actually I didn't? Ask those questions. And if you come to the end of that and you still feel like this isn't for me, then at least you know you've done what you can to try to make it work. But I would go through this step. I would go through this step with myself and with my spouse. Because I really do believe that it could help tremendously. So
also, if you are struggling through any of these points we mentioned in your marriage and in your relationship, send us an email if you need prayer at embrace@themompreneurplug.com. I'll put that below so that you can see that. And then we'll definitely pray, because we believe that prayer is huge in this too, that, you know, the Lord helps us through these issues in our relationship, and gives us the strength to do things that we might not want to. So
you are the source of my strength.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. You are the strength of my life. That sounded disgusting.
My note didn't.
Oh, it didn't?
Mm-mm. Not at all.
Okay. If you have watched all the way to the end, you are a trooper. And I thank you so very much for watching. And if you have not watched my latest video, please click here. You get to see my husband do my makeup terribly. I love you guys. And until next time, bye.
Bye.